The sun sets over the glamorous French Riviera, but the picturesque beauty of Monaco is entirely lost on a frantic, desperate John Finnegan. The chilling realization that his wife, Steffy Forrester Finnegan, has vanished into thin air strikes him with the force of a physical blow. The romantic European getaway, meticulously designed to heal the fractures in their marriage, has suddenly morphed into an absolute nightmare. Finn's heart pounds violently against his ribs as he scours the luxurious hotel suite, finding nothing but the haunting echo of Steffy's absence and the devastating memory of her throwing her wedding ring at him. The sheer gravity of his catastrophic mistake, striking a secret bargain with his biological mother, the diabolical Sheila Carter, and defending her presence, now crashes down upon him, threatening to suffocate him with an unbearable wave of guilt and terror. Driven by sheer panic, Finn frantically seeks out Ridge Forrester and Brooke Logan Forrester, desperately hoping that Steffy has sought refuge with her father. When he bursts into their Monaco suite, his disheveled appearance and wild eyes immediately set off alarm bells. However, Ridge and Brooke are completely oblivious to the crisis, having been insulated by their own romantic escapades. The moment Finn chokes out the horrifying truth that Steffy is missing and that Sheila Carter is the catalyst for this catastrophic implosion, the atmosphere in the room violently shifts. The air grows thick with a terrifying, suffocating tension as the name of their greatest tormentor hangs like a venomous curse between them. Ridge Forrester's reaction is nothing short of volcanic. The Forrester patriarch's protective instincts, honed by decades of defending his family against Sheila's relentless reign of terror, erupt in a blinding flash of paternal rage. Ridge unleashes a blistering, merciless verbal assault on his son-in-law, his voice trembling with a potent mixture of fear and absolute fury. He demands to know how Finn could be so incredibly naive, so recklessly foolish, as to allow that psychopathic monster anywhere near his daughter again. Ridge vividly recounts the agonizing history of Sheila's crimes, the manipulation, the stalking, and the horrific night in the dark alleyway where Sheila callously shot Steffy and left her bleeding out on the cold pavement. For Ridge, Finn's inability to permanently sever ties with Sheila is not just a character flaw. It is a lethal threat to Steffy's very existence. Brooke stands by, her own heart aching for Steffy, as she witnesses Ridge completely tear into Finn. She knows the profound trauma that Steffy carries, the severe post-traumatic stress disorder that Sheila's mere shadow triggers. Brooke's maternal instincts, despite her complicated history with Steffy, align perfectly with Ridge's protective fury. She looks at Finn not with hatred, but with a profound, sorrowful disappointment. Finn is forced to stand there and absorb the blistering impact of Ridge's wrath, possessing absolutely no defense for his actions. He cannot justify his secret mid-air pact with Sheila, nor can he explain the twisted, lingering biological loyalty that blinded him to the imminent danger. The agonizing reality sets in. His desperate attempt to appease everyone has resulted in him alienating the only woman he truly loves. Consumed by a crushing, paralyzing guilt, Finn realizes that standing in Monaco and absorbing Ridge's fury will not bring his wife back. His medical training, usually a source of calm rationality, completely abandons him, replaced by a primal, desperate need to fix the shattered pieces of his family. Deducing that a heartbroken and betrayed Steffy would instinctively flee to the perceived safety of her home turf, Finn makes a rapid, panicked decision. He abandons the luxurious facade of the French Riviera, frantically booking a seat on the very next commercial flight back to Los Angeles. The agonizingly long hours in the air will undoubtedly be a psychological torture chamber for the good doctor, leaving him trapped with his darkest fears and the haunting realization that his marriage might be irreparably destroyed. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away from the European chaos, the sprawling metropolis of Los Angeles is shrouded in the quiet darkness of the night. Inside the usually bustling, glamorous executive offices of Forrester Creations, a profound, suffocating sorrow permeates the air. Steffy Forrester Finnegan has indeed fled back to California, seeking refuge in the familiar walls of her family's empire. However, the corporate sanctuary offers absolutely no solace for her shattered heart. The traumatic confrontation in Monaco, the terrifying sight of Sheila stalking them, and the ultimate betrayal of Finn defending his mother have pushed Steffy past her breaking point. She is a woman entirely consumed by her trauma, her post-traumatic stress disorder flaring up with a vicious, unrelenting intensity. To numb the excruciating psychological pain, Steffy turns to the only immediate remedy available: alcohol. She sits alone in the dimly lit CEO office, the heavy silence broken only by the clinking of ice against crystal glass. The liquor burns down her throat, but it does absolutely nothing to extinguish the fiery agony of Finn's betrayal. Steffy is mourning not just the potential end of her marriage, but the death of the illusion of safety. She had foolishly believed that Finn would be her ultimate protector, the impenetrable shield against the monster that is Sheila Carter. Now, she views him as the very conduit through which that monster continues to infiltrate and poison her life. The tears that stream down her face are a potent mixture of profound heartbreak and a terrifying, escalating rage. However, Steffy is not the only shattered soul seeking refuge in the silent, empty corridors of Forrester Creations tonight. Carter Walton, the company's brilliant and incredibly handsome chief operating officer, is also wandering the building, drowning in his own ocean of despair. Carter's world has recently been violently ripped apart by a devastating personal tragedy. His beloved wife, Daphne Rose Walton, recently received a heartbreaking diagnosis of severe infertility and premature menopause. The agonizing realization that she could not give Carter the biological children he has always desperately yearned for pushed Daphne into a deep, functional depression. Convinced that she was an unmovable obstacle to his ultimate happiness, Daphne made the drastic, agonizing decision to abandon their marriage and flee to Paris, leaving Carter entirely shattered. Drawn by the faint glow of light and the undeniable aura of shared misery, Carter slowly steps into Steffy's office. The sight of the formidable, fiercely independent Forrester CEO reduced to a weeping, intoxicated mess strikes a profound chord within his own bleeding heart. Without a word, Carter crosses the room, reaching for a glass and joining her in the intoxicating embrace of the liquor. Two of the most powerful, successful individuals in the Los Angeles fashion industry are suddenly reduced to two broken, vulnerable human beings, desperately seeking an anchor in the midst of a violent, emotional hurricane. The shared bottle of alcohol becomes a silent testament to their mutual devastation, lowering their inhibitions and stripping away the professional boundaries that usually separate them. As the potent alcohol flows through their veins, the conversation between Steffy and Carter becomes incredibly raw, deeply intimate, and profoundly tragic. Steffy pours her heart out, her voice cracking as she details the horrifying events in Monaco. She vividly describes the sheer terror of seeing Sheila's face, the sickening realization of Finn's complicity, and the agonizing pain of throwing her wedding ring away. Carter listens with an empathetic intensity, his own heart aching for the woman sitting before him. He understands the profound agony of a future abruptly stolen, drawing agonizing parallels between Steffy's shattered marriage and his own evaporated dreams of fatherhood with Daphne. Their shared grief creates a magnetic, almost dangerous emotional intimacy, binding them together in a cocoon of mutual understanding and profound loss. In this highly volatile, emotionally charged atmosphere, the whispers of the impending drama suggest a terrifyingly dramatic pivot. Steffy, fueled by the intoxicating blend of alcohol and escalating trauma, might make a shocking, dangerous confession to Carter. She might articulate the darkest, most terrifying thought that has been haunting her mind, the realization that as long as Sheila Carter is drawing breath, her family will never, ever be safe. Steffy might express a profound, desperate wish for the nightmare to end permanently, a visceral need to eradicate the woman who continually destroys her happiness. This vulnerability, this desperate plea for true protection, could strike a dangerous chord within Carter's own shattered psyche. Carter Walton has always been the moral compass of Forrester Creations, a man of unwavering integrity, deep loyalty, and profound legal ethics. However, grief is a powerful, unpredictable catalyst that can violently mutate a person's fundamental character. Witnessing Steffy's profound agony and desperate to regain a sense of control after helplessly losing Daphne, Carter might experience a terrifying psychological shift. The speculation running rampant suggests that Carter, playing the ultimate, tragic white knight, might decide to take drastic, irreversible action. Could Carter Walton be pushed to the absolute brink, deciding that the only way to save Steffy and eradicate the threat is to murder Sheila Carter? The sheer thought of the brilliant lawyer turning into a vigilante killer is utterly shocking, yet in the twisted, dark reality of their current trauma, it is a chillingly plausible scenario. If Carter were to embark on this dark, murderous path, the consequences would be absolutely apocalyptic. He would be sacrificing his career, his freedom, and his very soul in a misguided attempt to play savior. The psychological profile of a man acting so violently out of character due to profound grief is a fascinating, terrifying narrative avenue. Carter might rationalize the unthinkable, convincing himself that eliminating a known psychopath like Sheila is not murder, but an act of righteous protection. This dangerous crossroads could forever alter the trajectory of his life, transforming him from a respected corporate titan into a tragic, fallen hero consumed by the darkness he sought to destroy. However, there is an equally scandalous, incredibly explosive alternative to this murderous speculation. The profound emotional intimacy, the suffocating grief, the physical proximity, and the heavy intoxication could ignite a completely different kind of fire between Carter and Steffy. Two incredibly attractive, deeply wounded individuals, isolated in the quiet darkness of the office, might seek physical comfort to numb their agonizing emotional pain. The boundaries of friendship and professional respect could easily blur, melting away in the heat of a desperate, passionate encounter. It is entirely possible that Carter and Steffy might cross the ultimate line, seeking solace in each other's arms and hitting the sheets in a moment of pure, unadulterated vulnerability. A scandalous affair between Steffy and Carter would be a seismic event, sending massive shockwaves through the entire canvas of Los Angeles. The immediate physical comfort would quickly give way to a crushing, suffocating wave of mourning after regret. For Steffy, sleeping with Carter would be the final, irreversible nail in the coffin of her marriage to Finn. It would be a betrayal so profound, so intimately devastating, that no amount of apologies or therapy could ever repair the damage. It would represent the ultimate self-sabotage, a physical manifestation of her belief that her marriage is already dead and buried beneath Sheila's toxic influence. The potential fallout from this intoxicated night of passion is utterly staggering to contemplate. What if this desperate encounter results in an unexpected, shocking pregnancy? Steffy finding herself carrying Carter's child would be a twist of unimaginably cruel irony. Carter, a man whose entire world just collapsed because his wife could not give him a child, suddenly becoming a father through a scandalous affair with his grieving friend, is a narrative goldmine. It would force them into a lifelong, incredibly complicated bond, forever tying their fates together in the most unexpected and dramatic way possible. Furthermore, such a betrayal would completely obliterate Steffy's profound friendship with Daphne Rose Walton. Daphne and Steffy have shared a deep, supportive bond, with Steffy acting as a fierce pillar of strength during Daphne's devastating infertility struggles. If Daphne were to discover that Steffy slept with her husband mere hours after she fled to Paris, the sense of betrayal would be absolute and unforgivable. Steffy would be branded a hypocrite and a traitor, destroying one of the most genuine female friendships in her life. The collateral damage of this single, intoxicated mistake would be astronomical, leaving a trail of shattered hearts and ruined reputations in its wake. It is absolutely crucial to remember that Carter's heart still profoundly belongs to Daphne. The narrative arc indicates that later in the week, Carter will make a desperate, impassioned attempt to convince Daphne to return to him, proving that his feelings for his wife are far from extinguished. Any physical encounter with Steffy would be a product of pure, blinding grief and the intoxicating haze of alcohol, rather than a genuine romantic shift. This makes the potential affair even more tragic, as it would be a meaningless, desperate act of comfort that carries life-altering, catastrophic consequences for everyone involved. As the night wears on in Los Angeles, the tension continues to mount to an unbearable degree. Steffy and Carter remain locked in their cocoon of shared misery, teetering dangerously on the precipice of a decision that will change their lives forever. Will they succumb to the dark, violent urge to eliminate Sheila Carter, forever staining their souls with blood? Or will they surrender to the desperate, physical need for comfort, igniting a scandalous affair that will burn their remaining relationships to the ground? The agonizing uncertainty hangs in the air, thick and suffocating, as they navigate the darkest, most vulnerable moments of their entire lives. Meanwhile, high above the Atlantic Ocean, John Finnegan sits in agonizing silence, the rhythmic hum of the airplane engines providing a stark contrast to the violent turmoil within his mind. He is racing against the clock, desperately hoping to reach Los Angeles before the damage to his marriage becomes permanent and irreversible. Finn replays the events in Monaco over and over, torturing himself with the memory of Steffi's terrified, betrayed eyes. He vows to grovel, to beg, to do whatever it takes to prove his unwavering loyalty to his wife and his family. He is entirely oblivious to the shocking, potentially catastrophic events unfolding in the Forrester Creations executive office. The impending collision between these two desperate narratives is guaranteed to produce an explosion of unprecedented magnitude. When Finn finally bursts through the doors in Los Angeles, frantic and desperate to make amends, what horrifying reality will he find waiting for him? Will he find a wife who has crossed the ultimate line with another man, forever destroying the sacred vows they shared? Or will he find a woman pushed to the absolute edge, complicit in a dark, murderous plot to eradicate his biological mother? The stakes have never been higher, the emotions have never been more volatile, and the future of the Finnegan family hangs by the thinnest, most fragile of threads. The intricate, deeply woven tapestry of loyalty, betrayal, trauma, and desperate love is unraveling at a terrifying speed. Ridge Forrester's explosive rage, Finn's crushing guilt, Steffy's profound trauma, and Carter's agonizing grief are all converging into a singular, catastrophic climax. The writers are masterfully manipulating these beloved characters, pushing them into dark, uncharted territories where their fundamental morality and deepest desires are violently tested. The fallout from this single, fateful night will undoubtedly dictate the trajectory of the entire show for months, if not years, to come. As we brace ourselves for the shocking revelations and the intense, dramatic confrontations that lie ahead, one thing remains absolutely certain. The landscape of Los Angeles fashion and romance will never be the same. The innocence has been shattered, the trust has been obliterated, and the characters are left to navigate the treacherous, smoldering ruins of their own making. We will be watching with bated breath, analyzing every tear, every glance, and every shocking decision as this incredible saga continues to unfold. Stay tuned, because the drama is only just beginning, and the consequences will be nothing short of legendary.